Well, video number 6. This time we're doing gardening. After the shambolic pronunciation of the word actuary in the last video, I thought I'd tackle something a bit easier, speech-wise anyway, the mindful gardener. So, this is what we're looking at today. Oh, right. That's a frenetic rose stem on the left. It's like a baddie from a 1970s Doctor Who. Fear me. So this is what we're looking at today, trying to make the mindful gardener funny, adding funny words and funny ideas to other people's blog posts. Just give you an idea about what the process of trying to make things funny is like. Much better than writing down joke rules, formulas, that kind of thing. So gardener today, mindful gardener nonetheless, and it's time to prune your roses, apparently. That's the that's the Ron Seal way to title your blog post. Does exactly what it says on the tin. So let's have a look. I'll try and keep this under 10 minutes long so I don't waffle on. I'll also try and not say the words or something like that, which I tend to quite a lot. Let's have a look at the opening paragraph. One of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. It's the frustrated hairdresser in me. I love a good chop. I think I could do 10 minutes just on those three lines. Okay, let's start with the first one. One of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. So for me, the first thing that immediately comes out is something to tag on the back of that to make it funny. Or funnier. Not hilariously funny, but just something that makes it a little bit funny. So one of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. It's much better than, I'd rather do this than, or it's up there with, that kind of rhythm, if that makes sense. So one of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. It's up there with spending time in my shed, crying at my credit card statements, why is Christmas so expensive? Or one of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. Much better than spending time indoors with the family at Christmas time. God, they get on my nerves. Something similar to that. One of my favourite winter jobs is pruning the roses. It's up there with, and then list a few funny things that stereotypically people wouldn't like doing in winter. Or, you know, if pruning roses is something you genuinely enjoy, put it right up there with stuffing yourself, eating chocolate, opening presents, or, you know, faking reactions to presents, that kind of thing. You could easily put that in there. The next one is, it's the frustrated hairdresser in me. You see, whenever I hear the phrase in me, I literally do imagine the frustrated hairdresser in him. So a picture there of Colin, my local hairdresser, would do a wonderful visual imagery. Let's not do that. He probably doesn't want to do that. But that's the kind of thing I do. It's the frustrated hairdresser in me. Here he is. His name is Colin. Would be probably a bit too distasteful for this blog, but it'd be something I would always jump to. I love a good chop. Now, I'm thinking immediately the word chop has several different connotations. You could have, my first thought went to pork, which probably explains my waistline. So you could have a pork chop and an image of a pork chop there, or karate chop or something like that. So just inserting, I love a good chop, a picture of a pork chop, and then, no, not that kind of chop, this kind of chop, would just give the blog post a bit more of a rhythm and a bit more of a surprise element that, again, it's not hilariously funny, but it just gives a bit of a surprise so that the reader is a bit more engaged in what's going on. So we've got a few things going on there. Let's see. Most people are a bit nervous about pruning roses. I've quite a laissez-faire attitude. I don't get too caught up in the right way to do it. So, nervous about pruning roses. So I'm immediately thinking, what kind of action is similar to pruning roses that people would genuinely get nervous over, like surgery, science. It's this bomb disposal would be perfect. Bomb disposal would be perfect. It's the same kind of action. It's the same kind of intricate work that they really have to focus on. So bomb disposal would be a great thing to do this. So I just say most people are a bit nervous about pruning roses. You're not diffusing a bomb, for crying out loud, or even a Photoshop picture of a bomb disposal expert holding pincers and the wires becoming roses, something like that. So that's most people's idea of pruning roses. I've quite a laissez-faire attitude. If he spelt that wrong, he could also communicate his laissez-faire attitude by his lack of spelling, but he hasn't, or she hasn't. I'm not entirely sure. I don't get too caught up in the right way to do it. So again, I think a gif of somebody just doing a really slipshod, casual attitude towards cutting, like just snip it. You know, like in the movies when you always see somebody trimming a hedge, and people do it either really focused and intricate, and then there's somebody that does it really fast, like Benny Hill speed, just blindly looking the other way, and then has produced this fine piece of topiary. I think that would be a great gift to kind of put in after this bit. I don't get too caught up in the right way to do it, and then just have this gif of somebody just wildly hacking away at hedge and creating this amazing piece. So what's the worst that could happen? Well, then you could have... he's actually put that there. I was going to say you could have drastic accidents, but he's put, you could lose a thumb, or she's put, you could lose a thumb, you could poke yourself in the eye. I think that's a really good way of addressing that. What's the worst that can happen? Oh my God, yeah, you could lose a thumb. Oh, I could poke myself in the eye. I could do some serious damage over here. And then just explaining something like that, like a picture of a hospital, or, you know, just somebody really messed up, and with the, you know, somebody's looks like they've been in a terrible accident. Say, my God, you only went out for 15 minutes to trim a bush. What's wrong with you? What's the worst that could happen? And then they make the point, the worst that can happen to you puts in perspective what you might do to the rose. So you can again highlight that with the same kind of image of a rose looking damaged, or, you know, a rose losing a thumb, or a picture of a rose. How would a rose say, what is the equivalent of a rose if you cut off my thumb? So it might be, oi, go easy on the thorns, or, oi, I'm down to my last bud, or something like that. Damn, I said something like that. So you take a bit too much off. So what? Roses tend to like a bit of short back and sides. It reinvigorates them. I don't know if Ali has asked roses like family fortunes. We asked 100 roses, do you like short back and sides? But that would be a good one. Roses tend to like a bit of short back and sides. I know, I've asked them. They're okay with it. It reinvigorates them. They find it refreshing and much better than their mullet period back in the 80s. So if you're going to make a hair gag, they like a bit of short back and sides. You could immediately follow it with, but they hate the beehive, or they hate the bob, or they hate plaits. You know, short back and sides reinvigorates them, and mullet makes them feel dated and unwanted. So that would be a good example for that. So let's to the next one. So Stevie and I were talking about pruning this morning. There's a very obvious kind of double entendre. Stevie and I were talking about pruning this morning. We weren't talking about roses, but the same rule applies. And both confessed to expecting at least one pruning accident. Oh, I should have saved that line for then. That's even better. Both confessed to expecting at least one pruning accident. Again, that's just rife with innuendo, isn't it? When you talk about pruning and things like that, you could definitely do something in there. Not of the finger or eye kind, but of the oops, didn't mean to prune that branch. It happens. It's no biggie. Sigh and move on. I think you could take that to even more exaggerated means. You could, so instead of, again, I think an image would really be cool here. So not the finger or eye kind, but the oops, I didn't mean to prune that branch. So instead of just pruning out one branch, you've got like a video, a GIF, or an image of someone who has done something majorly wrong. You know, like felled an entire forest, or I'm thinking of some really like a bonsai tree that's just been literally severed right on the bark, and it's just fallen over, something like that. And just, I didn't mean to prune that branch, but just take it to the complete ridiculous. Like, you've felled the forest, you've cut down the entire tree, you've poured bleach on it, and then just a caption of "oops" or something underneath it, just to go against to kind of contrasts with the severity of the situation. So you have a really severe gardening problem and you've gone, oops, sigh, and move on. So I think that would work really well for that, especially for gardening, a lot of images and things. I don't know. Let's see what else we've got. I want to keep these videos quite short. So you get the idea of what I'm talking about. I think gardening would lend itself to a really good use of images and GIFs and videos and things like that. So here's my guide to rose pruning relaxed style. Remove the 4Ds. So we've got the chance for a reverse here. If they're going to mention 4 things, the 4th one could be funny. So dead, dying, damaged, or diseased stems. So you could have like a person like David, or David the gardener, or, you know, I'm trying to think of something funny that will begin with deeds. So remove the dead, the dying, the damaged, and the decrepit. No, not your auntie. We're talking about the roses. In fact, that's another thing as well. Remove the dead, dying, damaged, or diseased stems. If you take the word stem out, you've got dead, dying, damaged, or diseased. You could then make a joke about this being the new health policy in, I don't know, if you want information politics or something like that, you could do. But compare dead, dying, damaged, or diseased, and that's just my aunt, and use that. So I won't do any more of this because I really don't want to go on. It's a massive, let's make it that Doctor Who monster dance again. So yeah, there's a fair few bunch of gags in there already. We've got the job about pruning the roses. I love a good chop. Frustrated hairdresser. Hello, I'm Colin. Don't know what that accent was. Most people are a bit nervous about pruning roses. Bomb style. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Got loads of potential for gags in there already. And again, keep saying this every time. You wouldn't use all of these, but there's just a chance when you write a sentence like that to slip a gag or an idea or a picture or an image, something that will just explain the idea a bit more visually and a bit more clearly than just the words on their own. So if you're going to say something about nervous about pruning roses, build it up. Say this isn't brain surgery. It's not diffusing a bomb. You know, it gives the reader a really clear image and something funny to hold on to. You know, you can do a funny image of somebody pruning roses as if they're holding a bomb. You know, somebody wiping their brow and team gathered round looking tense, that kind of thing. So, yes, hopefully you found that useful. The mindful gardener, Ali. There's a Doctor Who monster again. Just a few examples of how you can take some existing words and try and make them funny, introduce some gags. If you've got any other websites you'd like to have a look at, this is still a kind of experiment for me at the moment. I'm still seeing how it goes. I'd like to do more of these videos, so feel free to shoot me a message with some ideas for pages, things you'd like to see. If I'm not explaining something, do let me know. If I'm saying words over and over again, like, or something like that, let me know about that too, because that would bug the hell out of me. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.